Hi, this is Chris Grimm. This is Deep Work Fast, where every week I drop a blog on Monday, and then on Tuesday I either go live or I just drop a video talking about the content, the tools, the concepts, sometimes books, articles, anything I have from 20 something, 28 years of coaching and a deep and wide toolkit so that you can be the best that you can be in all the roles that you play at work and at home. Parent, partner, boss, team member, all of it. This week, I'm talking about simplification, something people talk about, often say they want. Why can't we simplify it? I tell my team members, stop making this so complicated. And yet, it seems to be something that is difficult to execute for most people. So the blog this week, which there's a link below to that if you haven't seen it yet, it's a short read. I want to talk about 5 ways you can simplify. Now, I consider this to be a place where I can bring you deep work fast. So I'm not going to give you low-hanging fruit, easy ideas here. I'm going to ask you to consider these 5 and maybe just pick one, because trying to do them all at one time probably isn't realistic, and I want to simplify, not overcomplicate your life. Okay, so let's talk about these 5 things. So the first thing is that many people are not great at measuring and appreciating progress versus perfection or the right way, an outcome that you or other people have, but today we're just talking about you, right? So think about it. When we have something important happening at work or at home, we usually have a vision in our head about what it's going to look like in the end, when it's done, when it's right. And so what happens oftentimes is that we get stuck in this vision, which sometimes can be great and motivating and appropriate because it gives us direction, but we forget to measure the progress along the way. And that's when things can get confusing, they can get complicated, and it can become, there's conflict between you and potentially the other people involved. Why? Because when they close their eyes and they think about what the end is supposed to look like, they may not have the same vision as you. And so I call number 1, moving away from perfectionistic thinking. And some people say to me, well, perfectionism is about accuracy. And actually, for most people, it's not. So if you have a style, like in your personality, etc., where details matter, for you, it might be about accuracy. But for many people, accomplishment and productivity, etc., isn't about accuracy all the time. I hate to say that, but it's really true. And so if we can move away from always pushing toward a right way or the perfect end state, and instead establish milestones along the way that are realistic and aligned. When I say that, I mean making sure that all the people involved understand what the milestones are, right? So we want to get to here, over here, that's our end state. But along the way, here's how we're going to know we're on the right track together, that we're all moving not only in the same direction, but we're moving in the same direction in a way that gives us indicators that we're successful. Not just indicators of progress, but indicators of progress towards a shared goal or end state. Now, I say that it sounds easy, but I know that in the workplace today and in many families, people aren't able or unwilling to compromise early in the process on what the end state should look and feel like. And that's why I said oftentimes what happens is the person in charge, the boss, the parents, tend to drive towards a perfection or a right way, and not everybody else is aligned. So that first one is you're overcomplicating your life. You can actually simplify by agreeing on a general direction and end state, but really spending time agreeing with other people and moving towards progress. right? So along the way, here's what it's going to look and feel like if we're all going in the same direction towards the same thing. So try that, because it definitely is more simple than continually arguing about an end state that not everybody's bought into. Okay, the number two thing that most people do that absolutely complicate their lives, and I know because I do it too, is that we multitask. And we have decided, all of us culturally, for some reason, that there's like some badge of honor that we're going to get when we're multitasking all the time. Like, we actually think the ability to get through a day and juggle a lot of things is good. And we wonder why we have trouble focusing. We wonder why we get stressed out, and we wonder why things are complicated. And it's because we're trying to do too many things at one time. So I'm going to suggest to you, and this is one of the more easy ones on this list for you to try, because there's some techniques out there. If you Google it, my techniques are out there, the ones I'm going to explain to you, but other people have lots of them too. One is to get more focused on one thing at a time. You can use something called a Pomodoro technique. You can look that up. It really is about creating a commitment with yourself to sprint or to stay focused on one project, one thing for a certain length of time, then give yourself a break and take on the distractions, maybe check email, etc. But you focus for a committed amount of time, reducing the amount of time during the day that you're trying to multitask. And I will tell you another thing that you can easily do, and some people struggle with, is to turn your devices or put your devices away. I really don't love everybody. I know you're going to fight back on me on this, but people who are wearing a smartwatch, so they've got text messages and notifications that are buzzing all the time. There's everybody that are wearing these rings that monitor their vitals, that's also giving you notifications and trying to get your attention. Your main device might be your laptop or your computer, and you may have pop-ups coming up from Teams and Slack and email and text messages, and depending on how connected all your devices are, it's really hard to focus. So I'm going to ask you to stop doing that, or at least for a certain amount of time every day, give yourself a break and do one thing at a time. Your life will feel better. It will feel more simplified when you just commit even to 3 or 4 hours a day where you turn off those notifications, put all the extra devices to the side, and focus on one thing at a time. If my grandmother was alive, she would think it was sad, funny that we're having to have this conversation, but sorry, Grandma. Okay, number 3, overcommitting for impressions. Now, I want to clarify what that means, because that's language that doesn't probably feel natural to you and other people. And I know that even my proofreader in my blog was saying, what is this? Did you mean to say this? I did mean to say it. So we are often overcommitting ourselves because we want to please other people. We want to make impressions. So let's get clear first, because when I coach people, often they don't understand what an impression is. When we want to impress someone, we want to leave them with a belief about us. That's an impression, right? If you put your thumb in wet cement, you've made an impression. Well, we're doing that all day, every day. You, whether you know it or not, so you should become conscious of this, are making choices on what you commit to based on what other people are going to think. And so when we want other people to be impressed by us, when we want to have political clout, when we like someone and we want them to like us back, right? We make choices to leave positive impressions, or impressions that other people is going to be, that other person's going to be happy about. So I want you to decrease that. I'd love for you to really take a look at how you overcommit, when you overcommit, what you're saying yes to, that on the inside, you have indicators that are going, we don't have time for this. We can't do that at our best. I don't want to go to another party. I really can't pick up the kids 5 days a week. Whatever it is that you are doing, that you are overcommitting so that you can impress other people or please other people, I want you to find something that you're not going to do anymore. Not because I don't want you to have a good relationship with those people, let me be super clear. Because most of the time, that's actually not the most important thing in the relationship. So if in fact you want someone to believe you are reliable, then have a different conversation with them. They will respect you more when you talk about why you can't commit all the time. When you say yes intentionally, then you execute. That's what actually really matters, by the way. People want reliability. People want to trust. They want predictability in our relationships. So instead of saying yes all the time to everything and then maybe being half-ass or only actually showing up 50% of the time, whatever, I want you to slow that down, roll it back, say no to more things more often. That's a challenge for you. The fourth thing is that we accumulate instead of curate. That complicates our life, all of our stuff. I'm totally one of those people. I found that I was ordering books, for instance, on Amazon, and I couldn't just order just one. If I liked a book, I would order a whole bunch of them so I could give them to people. Well, guess what? Not a lot of people are reading physical books anymore. Why am I still doing that? Hello? That's accumulation instead of curation. So I would love for you to move to a curation model, where you take stock of all of your things, where you create criteria for when you actually need to bring new things into your home or to your office. I know some people who have a deal with themselves around one thing in, two things out. You can decide how you want to handle this, but I do challenge you to consider this and think about how the clutter and the things in your home and in your office are contributing to complexity. Because you don't have to be Marie Kondo. If you don't know who that is, she wrote a very, very well-known book on organizing and minimalist living, right? Really cleaning things out and getting rid of the stuff that you don't actually use. And that by doing that, it gives you clearer thinking, more focused life, happier life, is what Marie says. You should check that out if you're interested. The last thing is mistakenly thinking that busyness is productivity. Now, I talk to leaders about this all the time. Many organizations reward people for activity and effort, and then are disappointed when they don't get the business outcomes they're looking for, or their team is exhausted because of all this activity when it didn't actually, all that activity didn't get us exactly what we wanted. It got us something, but it doesn't always get us a predictable, successful outcome. So we're back to kind of thinking about what I said, the very first thing, which is getting super clear about what you are trying to achieve, and also having the discipline to minimize your activity to the things that actually matter. You know, last thing I'm going to say is that this last one is really important. And so if you are considering in your life and in your work, taking it to the next level, whatever that means for you, that could be being promoted, that could be leaving your corporate job and starting a business of your own, that could be changing your life, like maybe you're an empty nester now, whatever. Anytime we make a transition and we move into the next phase of something, we should be looking at how we spend our time. That's the activities that we're doing every day. And most of us are busy, distracted, doing a lot of things. But that doesn't mean we're doing the right things to live the life we want and to achieve the business goals that we say we want. So check out the blog. Please take some time. It's about a 3-minute read. It goes in depth into the 5 things I've just talked about. I think your theme for 2025 might actually be simplification. And if it's not, maybe today will be the day you decide that it is. Okay.